Hi, good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this online launch of the sponsorship drive for the Undergraduate Toolkit. Thank you very much to everyone for joining us. We have an illustrious lineup of speakers, guest presenters. We look forward to hearing their words of wisdom. Thank you so much to everyone who's contributed and who supported today's launch. I'm Leila. I'm going to hand over to Kutsia in a second, but I just wanted to say a warm welcome to everyone. I know things are difficult with the load shedding, so we are recording the session. The Zoom room will be left open, so if anyone has network issues and needs to rejoin, you're welcome to do that as well. I will email everyone who's here the recording after the launch is over. But a warm welcome. Thank you very much for spending your Saturday with us. And Kutsia, without further ado, over to you.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I think we've got a very full program, so let's dive right into it. A very hearty welcome and a blessed morning to us all. We are so grateful to you for your time and your participation in this very exciting online kickoff of our online sponsorship campaign to make the recently published Undergrad Toolkit available to those students from very under-resourced schools, colleges, universities who need this learning aid to succeed on their academic journeys. As you are aware, the textbook is published at the moment in an online and on a USB format. So currently it's an ebook. We've had numerous requests by educators and students and other stakeholders associated with higher education to please make this book available in its printed format. In other words, a hard copy. Problems that were cited are such as poor internet connectivity, high costs of data, lack of resources such as laptops and other devices at schools, at colleges, that prevent students from accessing our books. So the need for a printed book has now led us to commencing this journey, which is a fundraising drive to make the initial print run of 1,000 books more accessible so that these books can then be made available as donations to those who need them. Printing costs are absolutely high. They're prohibitive in South Africa. And, we were just scared as self-published authors to go down that road initially. This is what, the printed book looks like. It's a massive book. We're looking at almost 900 pages. It reminds me, the printed version actually reminds me of the old telephone directories that, some of us grew up with. So, we tried to avoid it, but, it's now impossible to avoid. It's a must for us to pursue this particular route, i.e. the printed version, to keep costs low or more manageable rather. I've opted for a black and white version of the book in terms of the printed version. This is bringing the cost down. Otherwise, it would have run to, around 2,000 Rand a book. And that's going to be very, very difficult for donors as well as for the target markets that we're aiming for. So with a black and white, with a full color exterior, in other words, the cover being in full color, and the inserts, in terms of the content of the book being in black and white, the current cost in terms of printing is in the region of 977 cents, which includes VAT, but includes postage. Postage is estimated at about 150 within South Africa. So we're looking at, a donation of about 980 Rand for a book that could go to a student or a university or a college or a school in need. We are therefore calling on all potential sponsors from all sectors of society to partner with us as publishers to successfully execute of 1,000 books. Hopefully, the next 2 months. You as potential sponsors, donors, benefactors, philanthropists, friends may choose the students or the schools that you wish to make your gift available to. And there's no such thing as a small or a large donation. Even one book per family or per business will go a tremendous way in us collectively achieving our numerical goal of 1,000 books. The process has started already. We already have some donors that are in our Zoom room this morning, such as Esther, and she'll talk about her sponsorship a little bit later in her guest talk. But we also have a very special young woman. I'm calling you young Myrtle Duplessis, with her husband, Nathan Duplessis, who's a teacher, a history teacher in the Northern Cape, in a very under-resourced environment, a school called Camus Secondary, where they grapple with, multifold challenges as well. And they, as a couple, have made one book available to a recipient in that part of the world. And this is what we're speaking about. We're speaking about one book at a time, reaching the people we want to reach. And we're hoping that these ripples will multifold and allow us to reach that goal of 1,000 books with your help. Within this context, we welcome our highly esteemed guest speakers and patrons of the project. Our guest speakers have been very carefully chosen. They stand out for their steadfast, for their unwavering and exemplary work in the outreach space. And when Leila is introducing them, she'll touch on some of that. We also want to take this unique opportunity to allow ourselves to listen to a sample of young voices who have made themselves available. They've seen the value of this resource, and they are also beneficiaries of the Undergraduate Toolkit. They include Alyssa David, Amishle. I hope you've managed to log on. But if you're not there, you will listen to our recording later and you'll see that I've acknowledged you. Amishle is a grade 11 learner from a school in Mere Went in KwaZulu-Natal. And the name of the school is Ganji Secondary School. And Ganji Secondary will be getting a donated book in the coming week. So Amishle, thank you very much. If you're here or if you come in a bit later, I'm happy that you are participating. The other young learner whose audio clip you will listen to a bit later is Sadia Simmerlin. Sadia hails from El Dorado Park in Johannesburg, and she's currently a first-year student at the University of Stellenbosch. I think they're now called Stellenbosch University, and she's learning and studying to become a teacher. Welcome, Sadia. Another young voice that you are going to listen to shortly is our rising and our bright star, Naledi. Naledi, welcome. Naledi had completed matric last year, and she's taking a gap year this year. And she and her mum attended our launch, our physical launch in KwaZulu-Natal on the 5th of February. We made a very, very close association with them then. And the lady has kindly agreed to share her words of wisdom with us later on. For those of you that may not have adequate background on both our toolkits, the postgrad one as well as this new one, we will now share a short audiovisual presentation with you that will provide you with the contents of each publication. Leila will then take over and facilitate the rest of the session. I look forward to our engagements in the open forum discussion, which will take place once all the speakers have spoken to us. Over to you, Leila.
Thank you, Kutsia. So I'm just going to play a short, video of a few minutes, just to give everyone some background information on both the postgraduate and the undergraduate toolkits. The postgraduate and undergraduate toolkits, innovative South African learning resources to empower students and enhance throughput rates at higher education institutions, presented by Dr. Leila Kassim. Introduction. The Academy of Sciences of South Africa, 2010, identified key challenges experienced by postgraduate students, resulting in high attrition rates. These include inadequate support, supervision-related problems, and pipeline constraints. The role of undergraduate degrees in preparing students for postgraduate research and the world of work is critical. South Africa has one of the lowest undergraduate graduation rates globally, Lourens 2020. To address this problem, we have developed innovative, user-friendly learning resources that cover a range of academic concepts and holistically address quality of life challenges that may undermine academic success. The Postgraduate Toolkit has 988 written pages. These include 10 chapters covering the entire research process. There are 25 hours of voice recordings in different file formats for accessibility. There are also 48 practical exercises. The Postgraduate Toolkit begins with an introduction to research and how to write a research proposal. Chapter 2 then covers how to apply for funding. Chapter 3 focuses on research design and methodology, which is a topic that many researchers struggle with. This is the longest chapter in the Postgraduate Toolkit. Chapter 4 covers thesis writing, and Chapter 5 focuses on how to write and publish an academic paper. Oral and poster presentations of the research are covered in Chapter 6, while Chapter 7 highlights project management principles in research, and Chapter 8 covers self-empowerment tools and support systems for postgraduate success. Chapter 9 zooms in on the student-supervisor relationship, which is often a contentious issue, while the final chapter of the Postgraduate Toolkit introduces students to our personal and professional development contracts and self-employment as a career option. Based on the success of the Postgraduate Toolkit, there was a need for a similar learning aid for undergraduate students and grade 11 and 12 learners. Our Undergraduate Toolkit is dedicated to students and stakeholders in higher education. It is our contribution to graduate and professional development. The Undergraduate Toolkit has 881 written pages with 6 parts, which include 18 chapters on various self-empowerment topics. Practical exercises offer students self-developmental opportunities. The book has been favorably appraised by senior academics. The introductory chapters prepare students to successfully transition to tertiary studies. A personal testimony of an undergraduate journey at UNISA is shared in Chapter 2. Chapter 3 is a guide to navigate the toolkit. Potential sources of funding feature in Chapter 4. Chapter 5 reinforces effective orientation to university life. The role of mentorship as a developmental tool is detailed in Chapter 6. Students are further supported with a practical undergraduate learning and development contract for goal setting in Chapter 7. Chapters 8, 9, and 10 convey the nuts and bolts of fine-tuning reading, academic writing, formatting, and study skills. These are emphasized for optimal learning experiences to be reaped by students. Tried and trusted tips for success are shared in a practical way. Chapter 11 introduces the student to the world of research. The invaluable role of the library is promoted in Chapter 12. Guidelines in resolving grievances and disputes are elucidated in Chapter 13. Student well-being and self-care is explored in a self-directed way in Chapter 14. Chapters 15 to 17 cover self-management for success, getting to know professional bodies, and preparing for the passage into the world of work. These topics challenge students to new heights of self-awareness and personal action planning. Chapter 18 focuses on students with disabilities. Parts B and C are aimed at the active promotion of our toolkits by key stakeholders within institutions of higher learning and external stakeholders in all sectors of society. These include those who invest in an advanced graduate development, such as CETAs, professional bodies, and employers. Personal testimonies in parts D and E allow students to benefit from advice and lessons learned by individuals with extensive experience and expertise in their occupations, as well as by early career professionals who have completed their studies more recently. Part F provides the user with an opportunity to provide us with feedback on their experiences in working through the undergraduate toolkit. We welcome all feedback in our quest to further improve later editions. A sample of testimonials is also shared. Conclusion: both toolkits contribute to information literacy by empowering students to know how and where to access academic and other resources that will assist them in completing their degrees, thereby enhancing throughput rates. Thank you. Okay. Thanks very much. Hopefully that provides a bit of context and background to the undergraduate and also the postgraduate toolkits. If anyone has any questions, you're welcome to pop it through in the chat function as well. So both Kutsia and I will keep an eye on the chat function, and we will have an open forum discussion right at the end as well. So please do let us know if you have any questions or comments. Right, so I think that it's my pleasure now and an honor to introduce our first guest speaker, who is Ms. Karusha Naika. Karusha, it's lovely to see you again after many years. Karusha has an illustrious background in sales, marketing, and in business. She has a passion for serving the community, in particular learners from under-resourced schools. She is a director of the Umhlanga Women's Association, which is really doing a lot of very important work in the local community. And Karusha has a wonderful and exemplary track record in philanthropy and outreach. So Karusha has sent us a lovely video as well, but since she is with us live, I think Karusha always great to hear from someone live. Karusha, over to you.
Hi.
Over to you. Thank you so much, and we look forward to your presentation.
Hi, Leila. Thank you so much for having me. I seem to be having some technical issues with my camera or my video. It doesn't want to show my face this morning for some reason, but I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to go straight into what I came here to say, and I'm going to try before the end of this to get my husband to help me get my camera working so I can introduce myself to everybody. Okay, so yeah, as Leila mentioned, hi to everybody that's taken the time to join the Zoom call today. It's really been an exciting journey getting to see what Kutsia and Leila, the CASM team, have put together. I am Karusha Naika, firstly a wife, mom of two, business owner and entrepreneur. I'm also one of 3 directors, as Leila mentioned, in an association called the Umhlanga Women's Association here in Durban, where we're completely passionate about changing the world. But first, we need to invoke those changes within our community and within our country in order to create global thinkers and global leaders. Now, going back to being a mom of 2, one of whom is an undergrad, soon to be postgrad, wishes that we at some point 4 years ago had access to this kind of toolkit and this resource, which would have made our transition and our experience from grade 11, 12 into tertiary education a much smoother one for us. This toolkit that I've reviewed has been cleverly compiled by the Renaissance Network to empower the postgrad and the undergrad student to navigate their way with ease in order to achieve their academic goals leading towards their careers. I've worked closely and I've had the opportunity firsthand to dealing with schools and seeing the complete and huge disconnect from grade 11 to tertiary institutes, where children are totally discouraged, students are discouraged, advisors don't know how to advise them accordingly and correctly to applying to tertiary educations. Mentors, mentorship, and advice is not available to these students in these areas that Kutsia had mentioned. I work closely with the low LSM schools and areas, resource centers, trying to uplift them, guide them, and give them these kind of resources. So this toolkit has been so beautifully designed that it will aid the transition not only for the students and the postgrads, but also for school advisors, counselors, guiding their students, mentoring them to reach their goals, which is actually quite amazing. I mean, after reviewing the toolkit myself, reviewing both of them, I can only say that this resource is one of a kind, which will change many lives of many students. So going out there to say, let's support it. Let's fully exploit this resource that we have our hands on. Asking corporates, CSIs, people that can afford to sponsor, as Kutsia mentioned, just one book to change lives in one school makes a difference. With regards to working closely with the Umhlanga Women's Association, we strive to create future leaders, future business owners, support entrepreneurs in South Africa, just so that they can become empowered global thinkers and global leaders. We're not only here to provide feeding schemes, but also to provide a skill, to upskill people, and to ensure that education is the most important thing that we can give an underprivileged child, so they can use that to become something. I mean, I constantly harp on, let's look towards grooming future global thinkers and global leaders. If we can get this caliber of students out of our country, it could literally change our country and change the world going forward. So I ask you, sponsors, corporates, people that are on the call today, only together we can change lives. So sponsor a toolkit to your community resource center, your local high school, and if you're a corporate on the call today, that aids and assists their staff with grants for their children, look into purchasing a toolkit like this to assist and aid and guide these parents to help their children through this process, mentoring them and helping them with ease, so that these children aren't discouraged in any way, feeling that they don't have anywhere to turn. Let's help them together overcome these challenges with ease. Yeah, as you can see, I'm very passionate about children and school and education. So yeah, I'll have my details up on the chat if anyone wants to get in touch with me. In the KZN region that's happy to sponsor any of these books, you're more than welcome to get a hold of me. But I know that my team at the Umhlanga Women's Association will be most definitely sponsoring books towards this particular CSI, because we're completely impressed by it. Thank you, Kutsia. Leila, if there's anything else, I'm still on the call listening through until the end.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karusha. Thank you for that powerful presentation and also for your very kind words of support. We appreciate that you've taken the time to go through both of the toolkits and thank you that for your positive reviews. All the best to your kids as well, and especially as they finish their undergrad degrees and then transition into postgraduate study. Thank you also for saying that your organization is also going to be sponsoring a book. Thank you so much, Karusha, and to the Umhlanga Women's Association. I think Kutsia in the chat function has also given details. They've got a Facebook page, so we can support their work from other provinces as well. Kutsia, over to you. I'm not sure if you have maybe some words after Karusha's presentation. Kutsia, you're still muted?
No, I think you've echoed all my sentiments. Karusha, thank you very much. Must I make you blush now? The last time I saw you, beside obviously reconnecting with you on the 5th of February when you kindly attended the launch in Durban. But prior to that, I think I last saw you as a teenager. So what, about 20 years may have gone by, and
Yeah.
your parents did so much right. And for and the village that raises our children, hey, when I look back, you guys were all teenagers, I think, in a volleyball club in Chatsworth, and I reconnected with you on Facebook, with you and Lenny, your husband, and now to see you, upright corporate citizens, socially so responsible, sharing what you have, from perhaps a space of privilege, where you're constantly aware of others in an extremely, we are the most inequitable society, country in the world. And when people that have share with those that have not, you stand out. And, I wish you and your family well in terms of receiving it back multifold. And I think this is, you're also setting an example to Kamantha, your daughter, and to your son, because this is how it's done, that we make sacrifices in other facets of our lives so that we can do something in the Women's Association, so that we can do something on a Toolkit project such as this. So, this is a very personal message. It's coming from my heart. You've touched me from the time we've reconnected, just in terms of your warmth and your outreach. So please keep that work up, and we will do our part as well to support your Women's Association in all ways that we can. Leila, over to you. I think let's let the program run, and then we can have an open forum discussion right at the end.
Thank you very much, Kutsia, and thank you, Karusha, for that lovely presentation. It's our pleasure to welcome our next guest speaker. This is Ms. Esther Mampane. Esther has sent through some beautiful slides that we will be sharing with you shortly as well. Esther is the owner of Wesley Environmental Services. So she's running her own business in the environmental science field. And Esther will tell us more about her business as well. She has a proud history of human development initiatives, such as mentoring graduates in training and social upliftment. And in fact, that's actually how we met Esther, through a mentorship program that Kutsia was organizing, and Esther was one of the mentors in that program. So Esther, we've been corresponding for a few years now, and it's lovely for me to finally meet you in the Zoom session. Thank you so much for your support of this initiative. Esther also has some very exciting news to share with us in terms of her business sponsoring some books as well. So I'll leave it to Esther to share that good news with us. Esther, I'm going to just share my screen, and I've got your slides up over here. So please just let me know, Esther, as you want me to maybe change between the slides. But thank you so much for your time. These are beautiful slides, and we're looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Laila. Hello, everyone. I hope you are well this morning. And thank you for the lovely introduction. And it's lovely to see you again, Kutsia. And today, that's going to be my presentation outline. I tried to make it, straight to the point and interesting. Thank you, Laila. Maybe I can just give you like a hand signal when you're moving to the next slide. Okay, that is me there in one slide. That is a part of me, not all of it. My name is Ngwanarachweni Esther Mampane, and I'm 44 years old. I'm a mother of 3, and I live in Pretoria. And I am a certificated agricultural scientist with SACNASP, and I'm a registered environmental practitioner with IPASA, and I'm also a master's student. So today, everything that we're talking about here, it's what I'm passionate about, because I'm also, a student as well. I'm fortunately now in my final year doing my master's with the Northwest University. And one interesting thing again is that I'm part of the GIBS Koteva Agri-Science Women Agripreneur Program for the 2022 cohort. So that is one of the things that I love doing. I'm in agriculture, I'm in the environmental space, and I'm an academic. And one other thing, as Laila has mentioned, I'm the founder and the director of Wesley Environmental Services. So our company started in 2010, and what we do is we offer environmental support services to the agricultural sector. So remember that we have, our farmers out there. So what we do as a company, we are there to support our farmers to be able to look after the environment. That's what we do. And today, actually, it took me back to 32 years ago in 1991 when I started my, back then we called it Form 1, which is, high school. So that's where my background, my academic background, my agriculture background started. I went to the Heruopenama Agricultural High School, and professionally, I've started working in 2001 and up until 2015 when I went, full-time into my business. So that is just me in a nutshell. Thank you, Laila. Today, I am so, education is so close to my heart. That is why I call it the gift of education. We've got, the department, we've got the education department, we've got, schools, universities that need so much support. So I really, today, I would like to commend the Renaissance Network, the Laila Kazim, ERS consultants, as well as the Lighting Student Pathways, for having such big hearts to think about this toolkit, both the undergraduate and the postgraduate, to create this platform that will be able to support, different learners within this academic space. So I am also happy and privileged that I've worked with Ms. Kutsia Kasim. As they mentioned, I was one of their mentors within the environmental division of the MISA, to support young graduates. So I'm happy that, from our experience, here we are today, continuing to spread this good news of education. And, most importantly, Laila, I won't forget, by the time I started using the postgraduate toolkit, even today, it's still my toolkit. That's the area where I always go back to and, get guidance within my master's. Here I am today, I'm in my final year, thanks to the postgraduate toolkit. So yeah, we are so blessed to have you. And today we are here for the launch of the undergraduate, and congratulations on this, because that's where it all starts. Before you go to the postgraduate, you need to have the basic on the undergraduate side. So today, as on the slide, Kutsia has mentioned that the book is there, but I would like to, to recommend that we all go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. I'm one of the subscribers, Laila. Please, let's subscribe to the YouTube channel and, load the toolkit there. While we're waiting for the books to be printed, let's all share the link. Let's all load and be subscribers to the toolkit. And here, I'm not gonna stay long here because already Kutsia has explained what the undergraduate toolkit is. And now here we are today, we are launching it. Thanks, Laila. So I would like to dwell much on the sponsorship campaign. That this is the reason why we are here today. On behalf of the Lighting Student Pathways, we would like to call in all, potential sponsors. It might be individuals. You can be, an individual. You can be a family. You can be, a business owner. It can be family trusts. So we are, asking that as we are here in the launch, we go out and spread the word so that we can change lives. The plan that we have is to at least start with 1,000 books to distribute to, the students that are in need. This is our call today. And for us as Wesley, we've also made a commitment. As Lila said, I will be the one who's breaking the news. I'm proud to say that as a start, we are going to start with donating 20 books. So because we are also in, we are there campaigning and advocating for education, we will, we will identify those students that are in need within our area in Pretoria, in the local universities in Pretoria, and we will donate those books. So I would like us to kindly just come and partner with us so that we can give this lifetime gift, to our learners. Thank you, Lila. And you will be asking yourself, how do I become a sponsor? Because yes, I know that you are here, you would like to be a sponsor, and you are also welcome to go and give this information to other potential sponsors out there. As we started, Kutsia showed you how thick the book is. And can you imagine when we have to print it in color, it's quite costly. So the plan is to start maybe printing it in black and white, and then as we go, we can introduce the color copies. And now that the year has started, already February, we are in March already. So we're planning to at least start giving our students, some copies from April 2023. So we would like to, encourage, our sponsors to say, if you are here, you are interested, get in touch with Kutsia and Lila, and we can be able to lead you through the sponsorship plan. But we have, at least up until end of March to put our donations up. And I think Kutsia can also elaborate further on that. But the main thing now, we want to have a partnership whereby as a sponsor, you can sponsor and you can also get a marketing, opportunity. You are able to put in a message, inside the books, advertise your business as you do the sponsorship. So you will get my my presentation. You are welcome to share it, Lila, in case I'm running, too fast through my presentation. And I've put this slide, just from my heart, because, when you are educating a young person, you are growing, the whole generation. So I'm saying that education is the pillar of our youth. Education is the best gift that we could give ourselves as leaders in the society. Because remember, when you are empowering a young person, you are, in turn empowering yourself. Just like a parent, when you're taking your kids to university, tomorrow the very same kids will be empowering you and helping you as a parent. And on the other hand, this education, it's a gift that no poverty, no violence. We're going through a lot of gender-based violence now. So when our, girl children, our boy children are educated, they are able to stand on their own. They have their own pillar with education, and no other negative circumstances that our youth can find themselves in can take away the education from them. So I just put those 6 self, you can give it, the name how you like it, but I would like us to give this, self-empowerment tools in education to our youth, and just let them fly and be what they want to be, follow their career path. With education, they have a background and a great pillar, then they can grow from that. most of the time our youth are lacking a lot of, self-esteem, self-dignity, self-empowerment, self-sustenance, self-efficiency. They will have all of this if we support them as sponsors, as leaders. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you, Laila, for driving this presentation for me.
Thank you, Esther, so much. Your generosity is just so heartwarming, and thank you so much to you and your business, for this very generous, sponsorship of 20 books. We got the good news yesterday from you. It really just, we really appreciate it. And I think it's a very powerful way for us to start, this online sponsorship campaign. So we hope that other businesses will also follow suit. And we look forward to working with you, Esther, to get the books out, especially in the Gauteng area, to the learners that you have identified in your, that are through your networks as well. And hopefully, as the books start getting out there in the community, then, there's word of mouth also, and that more people are then aware, more learners are aware, they can also approach us, so we, and I think that ripple effect that Kutsia was talking about earlier. Esther, it was so lovely to hear your presentation, also just to hear a bit more of your background. I wish you all the best as you conclude your master's degree this year. Thank you for the kind words that you said about the postgraduate toolkit. I'm glad that you've been using it. I'm glad that it's been helpful to you. And, not just for this master's, but then hopefully for your PhD next as well. So there's such exciting research taking place in the field of environmental science. So I'm also just looking forward to chatting to you afterwards. Maybe that's a separate conversation that we can have. And if you want to do it also at Northwest, because I know that there are a lot of units there that are already doing very exciting environmental science research. So all the best to you, Esther, as you build your research career as well. And thank you for your generosity with this campaign. So colleagues, I think that Esther and Wesley have set the bar very high. Esther, thank you, and best wishes to you. Right, thank you for that. That was a really beautiful presentation. If there are comments or questions, colleagues, you're welcome to also just pop it in the chat function. What we will do afterwards is when I send the recording of the session, then I'll also just send a copy of Esther's slides. Thank you, Esther, for agreeing that we can share that with the group as well. Okay. All right, so we've had two wonderful presentations. Our third speaker would have been Ms. Elissa David from Durban, from Phoenix in Durban. But as Kutsia pointed out earlier, Elissa is unfortunately not feeling well. So I'm very sorry to hear that. Elissa, I hope that you feel better soon, wishing you a full and a speedy recovery. Thank you for being so supportive of the sponsorship campaign. So Elissa is a teacher, and she is teaching grades 8 to 11. So she works at Earlington Secondary School in Phoenix. She's also busy with her honors in education. She regularly hosts a science fair in the Phoenix community. So she's always been doing a lot in terms of community activism. And I think that I saw Eunice's aunt, Alyssa's aunt Eunice in the group earlier. So Eunice is here. So the David family, a huge thank you to all of you, for your support of the Undergraduate Toolkit. And in fact, Alyssa's aunt, Sherry David, is our graphic designer, who's to those of you who've already seen the Undergraduate Toolkit, you would have seen the lovely visuals and the graphics. When Kutsia just flipped through earlier, I'm not sure if you managed to see any of the pictures, but our graphic designer, Sherry, has done such a phenomenal job. So a huge thank you to the David family. Elissa, we hope that you feel better. So I'm sorry that we're not going to hear from you live, but thank you so much for being willing to have spoken today. Right, so I'm then going to turn to Ms. Naledi Rafube, also from Durban in KwaZulu-Natal. And Kutsia did briefly tell us a little bit about Naledi earlier on. She completed matric last year, is now taking a gap year to prepare for her studies. And I must actually say, Naledi, it's great to see you, but I know your mom.
Yeah, you know what?
I know your mom because and I think Tembi is actually in or she was in earlier. Yes, Tembi is with us. So Naledi's mom, Tembi, is a lecturer, and she had attended some of my postgraduate in research workshops at Vaal University of Technology over the years. So I know Tembi in her role as a lecturer and as a postgraduate student. And then when we launched the undergraduate toolkits, Tembi also got a hold of me, and she's she was so excited about this, and she said this is something that my daughter can actually utilize for her studies. Naledi, thank you so much for being available to speak to us today. Thank you also for sending through your presentation as video clips as well. So I have that as a backup. But now that you are here with us live, I think it's always better to hear from someone live. So Naledi, over to you. Congratulations on completing your matric. I think that those who completed matric, in the last few years, huge achievements, I think, with the whole, COVID-19 pandemic and how difficult that was, especially for learners at schools with the school closures, and then, the rotational basis when the schools opened up again. So I think it was very difficult for this generation of matriculants, and you've done so well, to have pulled through all of that. So Naledi, please share with us your plans, your presentation, and just wishing you all the best. And I think that you're so fortunate also to have a mother like Tembi, who is so conscious and caring and nurturing in terms of wanting to give you the space and the support that you need, to then decide how you want to build your career. Naledi, over to you.
Okay. Hi, thank you. Thank you so much. Hi to everyone on this Zoom call. My name is Naledi, as Dr. Lila said. I've matriculated last year, and I'm taking a gap year this year to improve my maths and science. So I'm also one of the learners that have been given the opportunity to have the inside of the undergrad toolkit. I've been to the launch, I've heard the reviews as well from the launch, and I personally think that this is a very great book. It's an amazing book. I love the fact that, especially when it comes to high school learners, when you come back when you're from high school, you are kind of lost in how to approach your academic student life, how to kind of handle all the pressure of schoolwork and moving in and everything in it. And when you don't have the confidence to carry on with that, that's where you find learners that drop out of school because they don't have guidance or advice on how to approach it. So this toolkit will assist a lot of learners. I would prefer from grade 11 to grade 12 and students as well, so that they can be able to maneuver within their lives when it comes to being a student. I, for one, would say, if I were to go to university at this point, I think I would also be lost and would not have so much confidence, and I wouldn't have the skills to transition into the academic life. So this book will assist a lot of learners. A lot of learners will benefit from it. I, for one, am benefiting from it because it's not just a book that you can read. There's activities that are implemented for you to reflect your thoughts, your actions, record all your progressions from where you were and now who you are right now and what you're doing right now. So that is also, wow, and it's a phenomenal book. It's a very good book. There's a lot of guidance of well-being and self-care and self-improvement, for being a continuous success improvement, in your life. So it is a great book. I keep on saying it's a great book because the information given there it's more of it's not a life orientation book, but it's a book that you can take with now and when you graduate. I mean, like Mrs. Mampani said that she still has the book even now. She still uses that book. So it's not the toolkit. It's there for ever. You can use it whenever and forever. And I'm grateful that I will be receiving the book and using it as well. I also would like to, next year when I go to university, I would like to have that book because if I want to study medicine. So you need to have that kind of mindset, that stable mindset to move on and progress in your life and in your studies and everything. I mean, there's even a topic where it talks about for learners or students living with disabilities, how to overcome certain fears and, you know, and succeed in their academics. So I believe it's a good book. I advise everyone to get that book. Really, the toolkit is just amazing. I mean, you can get it online. You can get it through USB. There's also copies that will be made eventually. And it would be also great to, at some point, also have physical workshops where we do more on this toolkit. We you know, because it would be, it's more for, I think for learners nowadays, for young adults nowadays, it's so much easier for a person to visualize what they see, and it will be much more easier for us, so that the book, the toolkit, can be more implemented and more advisable. Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Naledi, that was brilliant. Thank you so much. Katia did tell me you are a rising bright star, and she was so impressed with you when she met you in Durban a few weeks ago. And yes, definitely. Naledi, all the best as you prepare for, you know, to start your studies in medicine next year. You sound very grounded, like you've got a great, you know, perspective on things. You know, so it sounds like you're ready for an intensive, you know, medical degree. And thank you so much, you know, already that you've started using the undergraduate toolkit. You're familiar with the contents and, you know, how to navigate through it. So we wish you well, and hopefully it is a resource that you will continue to use for, you know, for your studies. And I think it's very inspiring that you and your mom are going to be studying at the same time, you know, so as she pursues her postgraduate degrees, then, you know, you'll also be studying. So the two of you can motivate each other. I also liked how you, you know, emphasize the issue of self-care and wellness. You know, so I think these are things that we land up neglecting and not talking about enough. So it's good that you will also focus on that, so that when you start university, you start off on that healthier, grounded note as well. Thank you also for so I'm just going to mute then, Naledi, but you're welcome to then unmute if you would like to add anything else. Because we had a bit of an echo there. But Naledi, thank you so much also for your suggestion about the workshops on key topics from the undergraduate toolkit. This is something that has been raised, and Kutsia and I have been discussing it, and, you know, it's definitely in the pipeline. You know, because at the moment we run workshops more for postgraduate students and researchers based on topics in the postgraduate toolkit. So doing something similar, but based on topics from the undergraduate toolkit. You know, so there is a huge need for that. So thank you also, Naledi, for highlighting and for reinforcing to us about, you know, what some of the needs are. We definitely will look into that. And if, you know, thank you, you know, if anyone would like to keep in touch with the work that we do, if you go onto my website, so I'll just put my website address in the chat function as well. So it's leilakasim.co.za. You're welcome to subscribe to our newsletter. We send out newsletters, you know, twice a week, where we advertise forthcoming workshops and projects and initiatives that we are involved in. You know, so by keeping in touch with our newsletter, you will then also just, you know, receive adverts for forthcoming workshops as well. I think that many of you who are here are already on my database, but I think there are some people who are not. So if you're not, you can either just send me a private message with your email address. I'll add you on, or otherwise you can subscribe on our website as well. So thank you so much for that lovely, very powerful presentation, Naledi. Good luck to you as you prepare for your studies. And we look forward to, please keep in touch with us and let us know how things go. Yeah, what a brilliant presentation. Thank you so much, Naledi. And Herbert is saying the future looks bright, Naledi. Best wishes in your endeavors and for your studies as well. Thank you. I see the chat function has been quite active. So Kamogelo saying the physical workshop idea would be a good idea, lucrative, as it would also form a closer mentorship bond between the students and the organization. So yes, definitely. So we are doing something similar for postgraduate students. So I think that having those workshops specifically for undergraduate students and also for high school learners would be important, just to focus on some of the key topics that are covered in the undergraduate toolkit. Then also I see that Charlie talking about your studies. We wish you all the best, Charlie. And so a lot of our colleagues just congratulating the speakers for their wonderful presentations today. So thank you very much to everyone. Okay, so our next presenter is Ms. Sadia Simelin. Sadia is a first-year education student at Stellenbosch University. So Kutsia did briefly introduce Sadia earlier. I think that Sadia is with us now. She also sent us a lovely video clip. So thank you, Sadia, for that. But given that you are with us live, we are going to be turning to Sadia shortly for her presentation. But all the best to you. I mean, Sadia, congratulations, also recently completed matric. And as I said to Naledi, those of you who have finished matric during the COVID era, which has just been so difficult, so huge congrats, to you for your resilience. And all the best with your education studies. We need more teachers in South Africa, so I'm really happy to hear that you are studying education. I hope that you've enjoyed how the academic year has just recently started, and that hopefully you're settling in nicely as well. So Sadia, over to you. You're welcome to unmute. And Sadia, I'm not sure, are you with us?
Leila, I suggest that you play her clip, okay, because there are connectivity problems in the Western Cape as well. So she is in the house, but I think there's a problem. So rather show her clip.
Okay, no problem at all. Okay. Okay. I'm just getting her clip ready. Please just give me a second, colleagues. I'm just trying to rotate the view so we can actually see Sadia. Okay. Okay, I think let's maybe just try and rotate this view. Okay, so it seems to be going in every other direction. There we go. Right, so thank you so much, Sadia, for your presentation that you sent through to us. I'm sorry about the network issues on your side, but thank you for still logging on and for being so supportive of this project. So colleagues, over to Sadia Simelin.
My name is Sadia Simelin, and I'm a first-year BA student at Stellenbosch University. I'm one of the fortunate students who have had access to the undergrad toolkit on completion of my matric year. The undergrad toolkit consists of topics that assist academic development, self-improvement, and general well-being and tips on self-care. I believe that it's very important for every grade 11 and 12 learner to have access to this textbook, no matter what they plan on doing for their future.
Thank you so much, Sadia. Very excited about your education studies, wishing you all the best. And I'm glad that you have started to go through the toolkit and to use it right at the beginning of your degree. So hopefully it also helps you to plan, as you prepare for tests, examinations, etc. as you choose what courses you want to major in, etc. So ideally also, colleagues, regarding this sponsorship campaign, and this is why Esther in her slide also had put up that we would like to start distributing the books in April as early as possible. So it's still relatively early in the academic year, so students can benefit from it as soon as possible. We don't want the year to progress too far, and then it could have actually been more helpful if the students had received it earlier. So therefore, we are hoping that the donations will come in. So the deadline for the donations are 31st of March. Please help us to spread the word. So basically 1 month of intensive fundraising so that we can then start with the printing, so the students can then receive the books in April, before the June exams. Sadia, thank you so much for that presentation. It was so succinct, and you've highlighted some of the key aspects there. So Sadia, I'm not sure if your microphone is working. You're welcome to maybe say a few words, or otherwise also in the chat function as well. But thank you so much. A huge thank you to Sadia, and congratulations and best wishes for your studies. I run a lot of workshops for postgraduate students at Stellenbosch University, Sadia. So maybe I'll see you at some point in a few years' time when you are a postgrad student. Perhaps I'll see you at one of my workshops. At the moment, the workshops are still being done online, but perhaps at some stage it will go back to face-to-face, and then I'll actually end up seeing you face-to-face as well. But all the best for your studies. So I must say, thank you so much to the students who have, agreed to present today and who have shared videos with us. We've got one more student presentation coming up, and this is from Ms. Imihle Mpasu, who is currently a secondary school learner from Ganges Secondary School in Durban. Imihle, I think, has been having some network issues, so I think that she may have been struggling to get in. I'm not seeing Imihle in the Zoom room. I'm not sure if maybe she's logged in from one of the devices. Imihle, are you here with us? If not, yes. You are here. Okay, great, wonderful. Okay, so you're the Galaxy A02. Yes. Okay, so Imihle, thank you so much for your presentation, also that you had sent through the video. Imihle, your Makutsia has been telling me a lot about your enthusiasm, your commitment, your excitement about the project. So I am very happy to finally meet you, and also so excited that you are starting to use the undergraduate toolkit already whilst you are still in high school, because then at least hopefully it helps you to manage that high school university transition that our previous speakers, especially Karusha, was talking about as well. So Imihle, over to you.
Okay, my name is Imihle Mpasu. I would firstly love to give thanks to Mrs. Kadia Kassim for giving me an opportunity. So I got to know about the toolkit on the 5th of February when I attended at the launch. I met wonderful people like Elisa David, Naledi. It was a great environment to know that there are people who care about the youth as grade 11, 12 upwards, who understand what we as students are going through. So what I like about the undergraduate toolkit is that it talks about everything us as students go through, because we are really clueless about the university, because we're also coming from like the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, which did a lot of damage to us at school and etc. So to our lives, because we didn't get the time to mature. We didn't get the chance to mature enough because of the COVID-19. So I think that the undergraduate toolkits must be a student's best friend, because it talks about everything. It gives you exercises to do it. It is basically like a need to have as students. So I'd like to give thanks for the opportunity, and yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emihle. We really are very thankful and appreciative of your commitment in attending the physical launch that we had earlier on in February. I know you and Kutsia have been in touch as well. We wish you all the best as you wrap up. I'm not sure if you are in matric this year, Emihle, or if you are in grade 11, but good luck as you wrap up your secondary schooling and then prepare for tertiary studies. Please do keep in touch with us. We look forward to, and from all the students who are with us, let us know how things are going, how you're progressing in your studies, so that we can also celebrate your milestones and your achievements with you as well. So Emihle, thank you so much for being part of the launch and for your support of this project. Okay. Right. So I think that brings us to the end of the formal side of the launch this morning. I would like to thank everyone who has presented. I've really enjoyed all the presentations, and I think that it was just so good to get a sense of everyone's spirit and the excitement and the enthusiasm that you've all shared about this sponsorship drive and the undergraduate toolkit. I think let's maybe move to our open forum discussion now, where perhaps if anyone has any questions or comments, any practical questions that you may have about the sponsorship, about how to proceed, how things, where to go to from here, how to become a sponsor. I think Kutsia, let me hand over to you if you'd maybe like to just, address that. So if someone would like to make a donation, if they would like to sponsor a book, what is the next step for them now?
Okay, thank you very much. Those presentations were so refreshing. Thank you to all of you. I'm glad, Emihle, that you managed to come on board. I just didn't know you were Galaxy 02. So it's good that you identified yourself. And for the record, Emihle, I want you to actually thank your teacher. It's a Mrs. Punsami. I don't know her yet, but she saw our communique through a Facebook friend. I'm just amazed at the rippling effects that social media has. And so it's a total stranger, whoever this teacher is, Ms. Punsami from the Ganges Secondary School. I'm hoping that this recording gets to her, Emihle, because she needs to be thanked for letting you know that the regional launch was happening at the Blue Lagoon Conference Center, and that you and your friends then used taxi money and all that effort in the heat, Durban humidity, to venture out there on a Sunday afternoon and get there. So it's teachers like those that touch lives. And to Mrs. Punsami, I hope to get to know you in the next few days, because I think you deserve a copy of the undergraduate toolkit in your library. So we will be making arrangements through Eunice David. Thank you, Eunice, for offering to transport the book to them. I really appreciate your kindness in this regard. Now, before we move into the nitty-gritty stuff on the whole sponsorship campaign, one of the things that I want to raise, and I think this is more for Karusha and Esther, as much as we will be making the donated books available in hard copies, through your efforts, like, for example, Esther, in your case, the 20 books that you are going to be earmarking for learners and for schools in your area. What I also want to pledge as publishers is that we will also, this is from our side, make the electronic version available to the school. So say, for example, you choose school A, that you're making one donated book available to. Now, remember, the book is going to be in black and white. We actually want to have the school benefit from the full color version of the book as well. So, somewhere in the school, hopefully there's somebody with one laptop or one PC where they can download the book through the downloadable version via a Dropbox link. And then the school will also have an online version available, And that will be for unlimited usage at that school. Because, you know, the hard copy will come and go, you know, it will get all tattered, you know, it's a hard copy. And as kids are using, you know, the book with practical exercises, etc., etc. So that's a pledge that we will make, that we are making as publishers, that whichever schools are identified through your outreach and through your donations, both Karusha and Esther, please just mention to those potential sponsors that they will get a full color electronic version of the book for unlimited usage with unlimited number of learners. So that will be a resource, it will be an asset that will be available at that school. And I will keep good records of who's getting what. So for example, if the undergraduate toolkits get updated and there's a second edition or perhaps even a third edition, those particular beneficiary schools will then be getting an updated version as we go along. So I think that's important for you, you know, when you're deliberating and you're influencing sponsors to come on board, that, you know, it's just not cost effective right now for us to go the route of the full color book. But we also want to try and make the book as accessible as possible. So the online version will be made available at no cost to the school that's going to be receiving the hard copy. And Mishke, the same will apply to your school. Ganges Secondary, Yunus will deliver a hard copy to Mrs. Punsami or to Mr. Reddy, your school principal, but we will also make an online version available to the school. Now, with regard to possible sponsorships, you know, the sky is the limit. We're looking at SETAs, you know, the Sector Education and Training Authorities. They have budgets for graduate development, for postgraduate development in their sectors. And this is all coming from us as taxpayers. You know, it goes into the National Skills Fund, and the respective SETA makes that funding available to the sector as a whole. And there's a whole lot of programs that they have, you know, in terms of internships, in terms of advancement programs and empowerment programs for unemployed graduates. So those of you that have influence with the 20-odd sector education and training authorities, otherwise called SETAs, please try and connect us to those SETAs. Because there's money there, there's money available. I constantly see, you know, adverts where they making discretionary grants available for projects such as this. We are a very small business. It's basically a one-person show on my side. And I'm getting old. I don't have that kind of energy that I had in my 30s and 40s to make all this outreach possible. So, you know, we're hoping that good friends, good partners, good sponsors like yourselves can come on board and open some of those doors. And, you know, let me know, you know, we've got a potential sponsor in, for example, the Services SETA, or FACET, which is the Financial Sector Training Authority. And, you know, I can then go and make presentations, we can email and we can get to know those guys. So the SETAs are a very, very strong possibility for possible sponsorships for the sector as a whole. Another avenue for some of you that are influential in business, Karusha, I'm speaking more to you, are the professional bodies. South Africa has a range of professional bodies, you know, like, for example, the Engineering Council of South Africa, EXA, or SAC-NASP, as Esther pointed out. She's a member of SAC-NASP. That's the professional body that governs and regulates the environmental science profession. You have SAC-PLAN, for example, for town planners. Now, all these professional bodies, the Actuarial Science Society of South Africa, there's an accounting body for the accountants. All of them have a vested interest in this economy. And they have a vested interest in developing and accelerating the development of a skilled workforce And they also have a vested interest. In fact, it's part of their mission to actually accelerate professional development of graduates. Because remember, if a graduate, let's say, for example, an engineering graduate coming out of his 3 or 4 year degree, has got the academic qualification, but doesn't have the experiential training and development needed to accredit and to register in the engineering profession. And that's where, support programs such as mentorship come in. Mentorship kicks in. They do the experiential learning at workplaces. A mentor or a coach signs off that all that experiential and practical learning is done. And then they submit their training reports to ICSA, who then assesses that and then awards or denies professional registration. So the professional bodies have a vested interest to actually advance graduate development beyond the university environment. So this is where the undergrad toolkit can come in, as well as the postgrad toolkit, because these are tools that are going to be able to accelerate and fast track those particular candidate engineers fast tracking towards their professional registration. Esther, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Esther, as was mentioned earlier, was a mentor on the MISA program. She did outstanding work as a mentor to a number of environmental science graduates. And those young people owe their careers in part to people like Esther, who, I mean, the money that they were paid, their fees for mentoring was peanuts. Unfortunately, it was government tenders, so there wasn't enough money to pay mentors what they were worth and what was due to them. So all of this work that mentors such as Esther did, was work from the heart. It was sacred work, training and developing and growing and empowering young graduates to get their experiential learning. Now, unfortunately, at that stage, we didn't have the undergrad toolkit, Esther. So it was just, what training and wisdom and skills you guys transferred to those young people. Now we have the benefit of the toolkit, so even our professional bodies can now come on board and they can partner us. So it may make, I think we're going to have to go that 80-20 principle, where we're going to have to look at, the 20% investment in terms of the labor that goes in terms of searching for these potential sponsors to get that 80% effect in the marketplace, especially with both graduates that are coming out of the system, but also with undergraduates and graduates that are not employed. It is so destroying to see images on social media, and I see this all the time, where unemployed graduates are now standing at street corners with huge billboards saying that I'm a chemical engineer. I saw one the other day. I'm an accountant with a BCom under my belt. This is my cell number, and I'm looking for work. Please help. So there's a whole lot of people out there that need assistance. So even if it's an or an unemployed graduate who can get hold of our book, there's a few chapters that are dedicated to the end phase. In other words, there's a bridge, as Naledi and others have pointed out, a bridge between high school or secondary school, as it's now called, and the entrance into tertiary education. The second bridge, and I think for me, being an HR professional, the second bridge is very important. And that is, as we exit our undergrad phase of our education and we enter the world of work. So for example, chapter 16 of the toolkit focuses specifically on professional bodies and how students, like for example, even you, Sadia, you need to get involved. Naledi, you guys need to get involved. Amishre, from an early stage, getting to know, okay, I'm going to go the medicine route, for example, in your case, Naledi, which is a professional body. Oh, it's the Health Council that regulates medicine, for example, as a professional discipline. Let me find out early enough about what those requirements are for my eventual registration with that particular Health Council or Medicine Council, whatever it's called. And If they require X amount of community service, X amount of volunteer work, X amount of vacation work, then I'm going to start doing it in the early stages of my medicine degree. So that chapter 16 in the undergraduate toolkit is absolutely valuable. I've brought that specifically in from an HR point of view and from a training and development point of view to give students an early exposure to the fact that, there are professional bodies out there. You know, it's just not about getting a cum laude in our degree. We need to fairly early get to know our professional body so that we can actually advance into the profession in a seamless way, in an effective way. Then there's chapter 17 in the toolkit that I've specifically written for that passage into the world of work. How do you build your career portfolio? How do you update your CV? CVs, by the way, have gone out the window. Now, if you look at global trends, nobody's interested in a CV. We can all put together, a very artificial CV that often doesn't even do justice to who we are and what kind of professional service offerings we are going to be bringing to the table. The trend now is on building career portfolios. So from a very early stage, while you are an undergraduate student, you should be accumulating your artifacts, the proof of what you can do. When you deliver a talk such as the one that you've done today, Sadia, Naledi, and Amishle, record it. Open a portfolio of evidence already. Record it that you spoke at such and such online event, and that becomes then your artifact. Nobody can deny that because now you've got proof. You can put Leila and I as references there that can verify that you actually spoke at our event. So that chapter 17 speaks about the passage of the passage by the student from tertiary studies into the world of work. So I'm raising some of this because I know there are corporate people present here today. Please think widely. Karusha spoke about employees in corporates and the children of staff, and that HR departments, can be looking at children of staff. Now, where corporates are giving bursaries, we recently have had a lovely workshop on mentorship for the CSIR, and they need to be complimented for their corporate social investment. And I had a whole lot of young children, young people, first-year students in various disciplines, science, IT, engineering, etc. And they were like literally a week old at university. And we were taking them through a mentorship program. And mentorship, as has been stressed earlier, is covered in the toolkit. Chapter 6 and chapter 7 is dedicated to young students acquiring mentors and coaches early in their tertiary period, so that when they enter the world of work or they become entrepreneurs, they can actually use those skills quite significantly to advance their careers in whichever field they happen to find themselves in. So, we're appealing, through help from you. I'm glad, Sershin, that you've made your time available to be here today. Sershin Naidu is an old, when I say old, it's got nothing to do with age, but it's got to do with the amount of time we've known him. And Sershin has always been an active supporter and promoter of our work. Sershin is a specialist in this field. He knows the corporate market very well. He knows NGOs very well. And we're hoping, Sershin, that with your partnership, hopefully there's going to be new doors that are going to open for the toolkits to become more accessible to people that need it the most. We've had some exciting developments so far already. We've had a request for translation. The toolkits are written in English. And people have asked us about Afrikaans, about isiZulu. So it's something that we need to look at, that if sponsors come on board, there's still huge merit in children, especially at school, having access to toolkits such as these in the vernacular. In other words, in the home language that children speak and learn in. That doesn't mean that, you know, we're not recognizing English as the academic language or as the business language, but if it's going to be made easier for certain concepts to be understood better in the vernacular, then we open as publishers to those ideas, and we would like to speak to specialists in the linguistics field to explore that if we had to go with translated versions of the undergrad toolkit, which languages should we consider, and maybe which chapters should we look at that lend themselves to translation more than others. So these are just some ideas that I'm using the few minutes that we have in the open forum to convey to you. And now less from Leila and I, and over to you. There was one question about some of the challenges that postgrad students face. And we'll address that, but I think let's first speak, you know, more openly if there are any other burning issues that people want to raise. And then Leila, maybe you can handle in a nutshell. I know you can speak for hours on postgrad issues, but just in a nutshell, you know, what are the key issues that face postgrad students, and how should we be addressing those? So any questions, any comments, please speak to us. We have about 5 minutes left.
I think maybe whilst we wait for some comments to come in, let me just perhaps address that question that was raised by Kamogelo about issues that postgraduate students are facing. A myriad of issues, I think, ranging from funding, which are financial pressures are often a big challenge for postgraduate students. But I think also one of the big issues really is the student-supervisor relationship. Many universities, unfortunately, have limited supervisory capacity. Supervisors are overwhelmed, they are overworked, you know, so often they have too many postgrad students that they have to supervise. You know, with the result then that the supervisor actually doesn't have enough time to do justice to each person. So this often means then that postgraduate students end up having to wait very long to get feedback from supervisors on draft thesis chapters, for example, and that delays the whole research project. So I think the issues regarding supervision are a very, very big issue. There was actually a report that was released in 2010 by ASAF, which is the Academy of Sciences of South Africa. And Kamogelo, I think if you Google ASAF report 2010, you'll actually find it online, because that ASAF report actually was on the state of the PhD in South Africa. Very well researched report where they highlighted the research barriers and the problems that postgraduate students and researchers are facing in South Africa. And things haven't changed much over the last 13 years. So those issues that were raised by ASAF in 2010 are still unfortunately challenges now in 2023. So for example, the limited supervisory support, you know, universities having, you know, a lack of information that is given to students about what is expected of them in their proposals and their theses, you know, then inconsistent application of university rules across different departments. You know, so these are some of the institutional barriers that researchers are experiencing. Kamogelo is saying, how do we deal with students in oversaturated courses and finding education? You know, I think that is a problem because of the limited capacity. I think with the financial pressures that many universities are facing, what I've noticed is that in the last few years, universities are actually cutting down on the number of full-time academic staff. So you'll see that they are using more contract staff, more part-time staff. So universities are actually have fewer and fewer full-time staff members, but the student numbers are increasing. So, you know, it does make things more difficult. And it's interesting also to look, Kamogelo, at different models that universities are using, because I think now, as universities have realized that they can actually offer online courses, there's more of a drive at certain universities to then have online courses where people from around the world or around the country can then register and attend. So they don't have to be physically on campus every day. So that is also money that then comes into the university, but and perhaps it's more accessible to certain students, but who's going to be teaching those courses? Who's going to be doing the marking, etc.? So I think these are some deep-seated issues and challenges. I think Thembi, perhaps you're the best person here to maybe comment on this, given that you are a lecturer and you're working in the higher education sector. Thembi, your comments and responses?
And it's not actually a response or a comment as such. I'm fascinated by Kamogelo. Kamogelo is my cousin.
Okay.
He's a graduate, a BCom in economics. He's doing his honors. I think I've spoken to Kazia sometime to say she must send one copy of the book somewhere in South Hills. That's the guy.
Okay.
Yes, but I'm fascinated as Miss Esther has mentioned something to say education is a gift. I was just speaking with Kamogelo on WhatsApp now. He's in the queue listening to you guys on the cell phone. He's in the queue to fetch water. They don't have water, but look, education is a gift to everyone who is hungry for it. And honestly, that fascinates me that he's there, but listening to this information and being engaging as well at the same time. That's the dynamics of South Africa. So I'm actually proud that he actually took the time to say, even though I've got something, but I will actually listen to it and just get and absorb and engage him for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Thembi, for letting us know about that backstory. And Kamogelo, thank you for still making the time and the effort to attend today's session, despite the difficulties in your area. We know that the water shedding that has now also started, and in many parts of the country, the challenges in terms of getting access to water. I hope that the situation improves on your side, Kamogelo. Thank you for still being able to attend and raising very important issues as well. So Kamogelo saying we are experiencing a wave where undergrad students have to do part-time studying in order to maintain finances at school. Does the book talk about this element? Yes. So we have a chapter on well-being and self-care. And in that chapter on well-being, we talk about these kinds of issues and challenges that students are experiencing. And financial pressures comes out strongly there. Also the difficulty in balancing, different responsibilities. So one is studying, but at the same time, working. Then at the same time, maybe having family commitments as well. So how do we juggle all those responsibilities in a way that allows someone to actually finish up their degree in a reasonable amount of time, and also for them to have a good quality of life at the same time as well. So yes, Kamogelo, we definitely do talk about that. We've also got a chapter specifically on funding, to give readers and users maybe some ideas in terms of how they could possibly approach and find funding opportunities. So yes, it is something that runs throughout the toolkit, and Kutsia also saying chapters in 14 and 15 of the undergraduate toolkit in particular. So what was important for us as developers of the undergraduate toolkit, and it's the same approach that we took in the postgrad toolkit also, is that we look at the educational experience holistically. So we didn't just want to cover the hardcore academic topics. So yes, we've got very academic topics in the undergraduate toolkit, but we recognize that the undergraduate student or learner is not just a learner. They are also perhaps working, they have family commitments, so we wanted to look at them holistically, and to try and give possible guidelines, and to recognize the struggles and the challenges that they're experiencing in different aspects of their lives. So, we wanted to recognize that multi-dimensionality that goes into the undergraduate and also the postgraduate experience as well. So I hope that answers your question, Kamogelo. Any other comments or questions? Anything that anyone would like to raise any questions that you may have for any of our speakers who've done such a fantastic job today. And Kutsi also just saying, and I second this as well, a special thank you to Sadia's mum, Ms. Shamila Tate, for all her support as well, definitely. Shami, I'm sure you're also adjusting now to not having Sadia at home, because Sadia is away for her studies. So it's an adjustment, not just for the student, but also for the family as well. Any comments or questions, colleagues? Okay, so Kutsia, perhaps in terms of logistics, if someone would like to sponsor a book, what is the next step now for them?
Okay, thank you, Leila. I think, we are reachable in all formats. You've got access to my cell number. You've got our email addresses. So please keep in touch. We have a pledge form, that's attached to a letter. It's a sponsorship appeal. What I suggest that we do, Leila, is when you are sending the recording and the attendance register to everyone present, please attach our letter of appeal, our sponsor letter of appeal, which then, clarifies what we're looking for, what the cost implications are. It has that pledge form, so people can fill that in, send it through to us, and then we issue an invoice for the number of books that are being purchased. And with regard to the donations to beneficiaries, we can approach it in one of two ways. The first way, I think the first prize is you as a sponsor or your donors. They choose the recipients. They choose the beneficiaries. It's best that way, because especially if you're coming from different parts of the country, the environment that you're working in, and you may have your local school, or if you're part of a church, you want to invest in your own community, into your own congregation. So that's the first prize, that you actually make the donation available to whoever it is that you're gifting this resource to. So we will then courier mail the book to you. If you don't want to do that, recently we had a small engineering firm from Musgrave in Durban, and that engineering firm sponsored 3 books. And Mr. Kaji, the owner of that engineering firm, said to me, no, he'd prefer us to do the donation in Johannesburg, because I've got this growing list of young people that require the book. They need the book. Schools that are contacting us for hard copies, etc. So in that particular case, the engineering firm is called TraffSmart, and we are indebted to Mr. Mohammed Kaji for 3 books that were donated, and we are making those books available to people on our list. And so, that's not the first prize. I would really prefer that, donors make it available themselves. And I think that Esther touched on that. Donors could be, making it more meaningful. If you're a corporate and you want to give it your brand and your logo and your paraphernalia that goes with it, feel free to do so. You can have a label inside the book saying, this book is donated by so-and-so, and we as publishers can assist you in that regard. If you want our help in any potential public relations exercise that will help promote your brand, when you are making your donations available, we'll assist. If it's feasible, for us to be present, we'll do so. If we are not physically available, we could be there in terms of an online presence to support you when you are making your outreach efforts happen. So, we're very flexible in terms of how we could partner you as a potential sponsor, as a potential donor on the road ahead. Those of us that have contacts with embassies, I had a suggestion the other day that especially African embassies, embassies from our continent, and Sershin, they're all near you in Pretoria. So if we want to, some of us want to make some time available to go and knock at doors and chat to people there, because, you know, this is a product made in South Africa. It's made in Africa. There's a strong African flavor to our toolkit. You know, in that spirit of Ubuntu and partnership, you know, we'd love our embassies to come on board and look at how, explore ways in which we could make the toolkits available in their countries. And maybe as a parting shot, Leila, I could just share a little bit about a potential publisher in India who has requested a partnership with us. And, you know, he's volunteered to help market both the toolkits, but he's particularly interested in the undergrad toolkit, more to an international audience. And for us to do that, we would then look at perhaps customizing, you know, chapters, certain chapters in the book. For example, chapter 4, that speaks to funding, and then chapter 16, that speaks about professional bodies, and then maybe make a note for international users that, you know, make it clear to them that those chapters are written for the South African market, but international readers and students can look at similar funding agencies in their host countries or in their birth countries, wherever they are, and they can look at potential professional bodies in their countries to research, so that they can get to know what professional bodies in those countries are actually doing in terms of formal professional registration. So we were quite excited about that overture that came from India, from this particular publisher, who's basically saying, please don't just keep this product for South Africa or for the African continent. There's a whole market out there. And he actually shared his own experiences with me, that when his son was exiting school, and they were looking at, in their case, they were looking at the Ivy League universities for this particular young man to go and study at. He said they found it very traumatic as parents, you know, to make the right choices and the right decisions. And he said, if a tool like this was available in India, they as parents would have been more enabled and empowered to assist in that transition that Karusha very, very aptly described as one of her challenges as a parent as well. So these are just some possibilities. You know, we haven't made a final decision about this publisher from India yet, but, you know, it's looking very promising and very positive for us to look at some kind of association with that publisher to look at making the toolkit more available to a global market.
Okay.
Any comments, you know, from anyone in the house?
Thank you so much, Herbert. Very kind comment from Herbert saying excellent idea. And I hope that the toolkit reaches out to every grade 11 and 12 college and university students. Herbert, you have always been so supportive of both toolkits from the very beginning. Herbert, thank you so much. You've been doing a lot of marketing on Twitter. I'm not active on social media, but Herbert has been doing all the Twitter marketing of today's launch. So Herbert, I just wanted to say a very special thank you to you as always. We do appreciate it. Okay, so I think that brings us to the end of the proceedings, unless, you know, anyone has any
Dr.
final
Leila?
or questions. Yes, Tembi, over to you.
And now I was saying I really love the idea of knowing the criteria of at an early career, at an early stage of your career of the professional bodies. I think it's a good idea. It's a great one, because I think when I finished my diploma, that's when I started looking for professional bodies, and it was still difficult to penetrate through their criteria. So it is a very great idea. I think if everyone, every youngsters could take note of that, to reach out to the professional bodies at an early stage, it will be great for their careers. Thank you.
Yes, no, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm in one of those professions as pharmacy, where I'm registered with the South African Pharmacy Council. And, you know, we only were really, you know, exposed to some of their requirements in the last year of the undergraduate degree. And it would have been very helpful if we had actually known about that early on in the undergrad degree, so people have an idea of what to plan for. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tembi. Any other final comments or questions? I would like to say a huge thank you to everyone for being present with us today, for giving up some time over the weekend. Thank you. Please keep in touch with us. I'll send you a copy of the recording when it downloads. I'll also send you a copy of Esther's slides and also that sponsorship pledge form that Kutsia mentioned as well. So you're welcome to also just pass it on to your networks. So please help us to get the ball rolling, help us to spread the word about this so that the students can get the books as soon as possible, early in the academic year. Thank you so much to all our presenters for sharing their energy and their words of wisdom and their excitement with us this morning for these beautiful presentations that we've had. A huge thank you also to Kutsia and the team for all the hard work that has gone into organizing this launch, and also for the hard work that's gone into the overall sponsorship campaign as well. Kutsia is just saying, please go well into the weekend, send us an email so that we have your details to email this recording. Yeah, so if anyone is not on our email list, or if you've maybe logged in but you haven't actually RSVP'd, so we don't have your email address, please just reach out to us and send us your email address so we can send you this recording as well. Karusha is saying we'll await the sponsorship form to get the ball rolling. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And please feel free to circulate the sponsorship form to your networks as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for the special time that we've had with you. Let's see this as the beginning and not the end. So we'll keep in touch, and please help us to get the book out. Thank you so much to those who've already donated, and in particular, a huge thank you again to Esther and Wesley Environmental Services. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care. Have a good weekend, and keep well. Bye-bye. Bye. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for
Bye.
everything.
Bye-bye. Thank you.